Hello friend, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to learn about setting up a new project in Jakarta EE and how to write real tests with the Aquilium container. Let's get right into it. So now let's go to our favorite place on the internet and create a starter project. Here I'm choosing Jakarta 11 with the core profile. I will choose Java 21, which I'm going to change later on to Java 25. Now I'm generating a project, which I'm going to open in Eclipse. The project is downloaded. I am going to be importing it with the import project. So I'm using the import wizard. Now that I've imported the project, let's take a look into our POM XML file. As you can see, we are using the Maven plugin. This is just the Maven compiler plugin and the WAR plugin. But we only have a single dependency, which is Jakarta EE Core API. Let me zoom a little bit so you can see. Now I'm changing release candidate from I'm choosing the latest version of Jakarta EE, and I'm removing the core profile because I would like to use the complete platform. I am also changing the Maven version because I would like to be using Java 25, and the best version for Maven is the 3.15.0. Now we have a single dependency for a ready-to-use enterprise Java application. Since we are testing Jakarta REST services, now let's see how a simple Jakarta REST services look like. As you can see, we have our application, a resource. I have already started Glassfish on my local machine, and I am going to be deploying my application into Glassfish, and it deploys very, very fast. For that, Eclipse is really powerful. So now that your application is running, let's test it. Open your web browser, navigate to localhost port 8080. You can see that Glassfish is running. We call our endpoint, which is Jakarta Hello World REST Hello. Correct. Now we get our result as a JSON string. If we add a query parameter, we will get hello query parameter name in the result. Now getting back into Eclipse, this is our Hello World resource. This is our application and Hello World and the app running in Glassfish. Let's try hot deployment. Hot deploy in Glassfish is fast. Now let's take a look at how fast it compiles and redeploy the application. Press on save, 1.6 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, this is fast. Remember, Glassfish has everything to build an enterprise-grade application. AI, security, database, drivers, everything. And it reloads your application in less than 2 seconds, sometimes less than 1 second. So hot code reload, hot code deployment, very fast for such a huge library, which is good. Makes you very, very productive, especially when you are working with Eclipse and the Glassfish integration. Look at the amount of dependency that we have in our POM XML. That's not a lot. It's very, very lightweight. Now, what we're going to do now is to show
how to use unit test in your Java Enterprise application. Here I'm going to be adding some JUnit dependencies, which is going to make the POM XML a little bit bigger. But to be honest, you can even separate your test project from your main project, and it's not going to have an impact on your POM XML file. So I've added Jupyter API, Jupyter Engine, and now Jupyter Parameter. Now I will add the Arquillian unit test dependencies so that I'll be able to test in container. So we are writing real unit tests here. We are not mocking some fake object like most people usually do, and they pretend to be writing tests. No, we are writing real world tests. So I'm adding the JUnit container for Arquillian. Then I am going to add the Glassfish embedded server for Arquillian test, and also after the Glassfish server, I think I need the Arquillian extension for Glassfish. All right, we are all set and done. Now let's go write some tests. So I'm going to create a Hello World resource test class, but before I need to add the version number because Eclipse is complaining the version number of Arquillian. All right, so I'm using the 1.10.0 final Arquillian BOM XML file. Now let's go write some tests. Hello World resource test class is the class I am creating right now. I'm sorry guys, you're not able to see the pop-up window. I'm going to change the package name. Let's call it Jakarta Hello and move it into the right directory. Now that I have my package set up with the test class, I am going to be extending my test with the Arquillian extension test. So this is unit 5 that we're using. So extends with extend. I do not get code completion for some reason. I know it extends with Arquillian extension.class. Eclipse is still complaining. Maybe my dependency has not been set up correctly. Extend with. No, let's check into our POM XML. The dependency Arquillian is there. The JUnit. Why is it? Oh, I see. Well, misplaced element. So just copy dependencies. It has to go in the dependencies block. So now save. Eclipse is not complaining anymore. That's good. Now I can import extend with, and now I import our Arquillian extension. Fine. So everything's good. Now let's create a deployment. Now static. It's a public static web archive. So we are going to be creating a WAR file for our test. Create a deployment. Now return shrink wrap dot shrink wrap. Code completion is not working. Shrink wrap dot create web archive dot class. Now I'm going to be adding some classes. These are the classes that I would like to have in my web archive for my testing environment. I will add the Hello World resource class, now Hello World class, Hello World application, and Hello World application, Hello application, sorry. Now the Hello class. So they are going to be my archive file, folder, whatever. Now let's create our first test. So usually what I want to do is to just write some empty method and test whether or not I'm able to start the container. So let's call this method test system out print line embedded server started. Now let's output the URL of the server. The URL should be or is going to be an Arcurian resource. So I'm calling it base URL, and let's import annotation Arcurian resource. This will give me the base URL of the container of the server on which the WAR file has been deployed. So now let's test the application. Let's have a compile error. It's base URL, not URL. All right, so base URL. Let me start the container and see how it's going to work. So I'm starting it right now. It's taking some time to start. Oh, okay, it was all right. So now it's not starting. Oh, address already in use. Which address is in use? Which one? Okay, the port is already in use. 8181. Oh yeah, my Glassfish application is running on port 8181. So let's stop it and rerun the test. Oh, now it's starting a bit faster than before. Still not running. What's wrong? So this is the Java module error. This is not an issue for the moment. Now base URL is not resolved. Okay. The WAR file seems not have been deployed. Oh, okay, deployment is missing, so it couldn't create the WAR file. Now let's start the container again. It started. WAR file is being deployed. All right, now we get our test starting. So what do we have here? We have our URL, which has been printed out. So it means our Wi-Fi has been deployed, the container has started, and we can write some real tests. Now, let us test our Hello World resource class. What we need is a client so that we can make an HTTP client call to the endpoint. So client builder.new client. What we need is to select a target, which will be our base URL class, base URL to string or to external form. Now we add the REST path, which is rest/hello. This is our endpoint. When we have our endpoint, so this is the target. Once we have our target, or this is a web target, extract variable, Control-Shift-L, I guess in Eclipse. Now web target path is equal to, now let's rename to target. Now target.request.get will give us the response that we are looking for. Now, when we have our response, the first thing we may want to check is the status code of the result, right? It should be an OK in case of a successful request. So assert equals that response dot status or status dot start start status as capital letter. Yeah. Okay. Dot get status code is equal to response dot get status. So this is the next thing we are going to be testing. And then let us extract the entity from the response, because we are returning a JSON string, which is an hello object. Now we want to convert this object into this JSON string object into a hello class. Read entity hello class. And now we are going to test that the name that we return from the hello, from our hello endpoint resource, that the name of the hello object is equal to world, right? Now there are many ways to test this class. You can extract it into the object and then test the attributes, or you can just test it with JSON, with the JSON library, which is inside the Glassfish. So let's run the test and see what happens. Finger crossed. So now it's starting very fast now. Server started, WAR file deployed, and an error. What's wrong? We cannot deserialize our hello class. Yeah, for normal Java class deserialization, we need some annotation for the JSON bin to be able to convert the JSON object back to hello class. But what I usually do, I will use a record. Record are automatically serialized and deserialized without any further ceremony. So I'm going to be using a record for this one. And I'm replacing, it's not get hello anymore, it's name. All right, so now let's run the test. Server start, the application is deployed, and the result is still an error. Now what's wrong this time? Let's check the result. It says expected world, but was, oh, there's a dot there. All right, the dot, let's see into our results here. We've added a dot here as the name, and let's just remove the dot from the resource class and test the application. So this time it's going to be running fine, right? So my friend, this is the beginning of your Java enterprise journey. All right, you have your unit test, you have your container running, you have Jakarta 11, you have Maven, you have your resource endpoint, and you only have a single dependency for everything. A single dependency for everything. Really, I mean, if I ever see you again writing POM XML longer than your latest tax return, then it's on you. You only need a single dependency to be writing a very powerful Java enterprise application. All right. So just comment, subscribe, and I will be putting out a lot of videos to help you in your Java enterprise journey. Glassfish is running. My application is deploying very fast, very, very, very fast, faster than your latest JavaScript web framework, and it can do everything what your JavaScript web framework cannot do, right? Thank you very much, my friend. See you next time. Bye.